Imagine a world, not unlike our own, yet centuries removed. A vibrant tapestry of interconnected empires, grand cities, and sophisticated trade routes spanning the Near East and Aegean. This was the Late Bronze Age, an era of unprecedented wealth, innovation, and power. Yet within a mere few decades, this entire edifice crumbled, its great civilizations vanishing almost without a trace. Their fall wasn't due to a single invading army or a catastrophic volcanic eruption. The true culprit was far more insidious, more pervasive, and utterly silent. It was a weapon forged not by man, but by nature itself, a devastating megadrought. For nearly 2 millennia, the Bronze Age forged a complex web across the eastern Mediterranean. Kings exchanged lavish gifts, diplomats negotiated intricate treaties, and merchants ferried exotic goods from Mycenae to Mesopotamia. From the towering ziggurats of Babylon to the sun-drenched palaces of Crete, life flourished. It was a period of stability and relative peace, built upon fertile lands and reliable rainfall, allowing for vast populations and specialized crafts. No one could have predicted the unseen force gathering strength, preparing to unravel this meticulously constructed global village. At the apex of this era stood formidable powers. The Hittite Empire, a master of ironworking and chariot warfare, controlled Anatolia and challenged Egypt. Across the Aegean, the Mycenaeans, renowned for their fortified citadels and sophisticated maritime trade, dominated Greece. And, of course, the venerable New Kingdom of Egypt, an empire of unparalleled longevity and wealth, whose pharaohs ruled from the Nile's fertile banks. These were powers believed to be invincible, their institutions immutable. Yet, their strength was predicated on a fragile balance, one about to be irrevocably shattered. The first subtle shifts would have been dismissed as temporary anomalies. A year of poor harvest here, a dwindling stream there. But these isolated incidents were merely the opening notes of a much larger, more terrifying symphony. Across vast regions, the rhythms of nature began to falter. The consistent rains that watered fields and replenished rivers became erratic, then increasingly scarce. The ancient peoples, deeply connected to their environment, likely felt an unease, a growing dread as the familiar cycle of abundance gave way to an ominous new pattern. The world was changing, yet the reason remained shrouded in mystery. Modern science, through the painstaking analysis of ancient pollen, lakebed sediments, and even tree rings, has painted a chilling picture. Around 1200 BCE, a sustained megadrought gripped the eastern Mediterranean, persisting for over a century. This wasn't just a few bad years. It was a fundamental shift in climate, creating arid conditions unprecedented in the region's recent history. The very clouds that once brought life now bypassed these crucial lands, turning once fertile plains into dust bowls. It was a global catastrophe, playing out silently, relentlessly, across thousands of miles. For societies utterly dependent on rain-fed agriculture and river systems, the prolonged absence of water was a death sentence. Crops withered in the fields, livestock perished, and the great rivers, the very lifelines of civilization, dwindled to a trickle. The sophisticated irrigation systems of the time, designed for seasonal fluctuations, were utterly overwhelmed by a century-long aridity. Without food, the populations of the great cities faced starvation. The foundations of their economies, built on surplus and trade, began to crack under the strain of widespread scarcity. As hunger gnawed, societal order began to fray. Internal revolts erupted as desperate populations turned on their rulers, demanding sustenance that simply wasn't available. People abandoned their parched lands, becoming refugees, a swelling tide of displaced persons seeking any hope of survival. These mass migrations destabilized entire regions, leading to increased conflict over dwindling resources. The once mighty empires, already weakened by the environmental crisis, found their borders besieged not by organized armies, but by the relentless, chaotic desperation of the starving. Among the first to fall was the mighty Hittite Empire. Already struggling with internal dissent and external pressures, the mega-drought delivered the fatal blow. Their heartland, Anatolia, became a desolate landscape, unable to sustain its vast population. Cities like Hattusa, once glittering centers of power, were abandoned, their granaries empty. The great imperial records, once detailing triumphs and treaties, simply stopped. A once dominant power vanished from history, leaving behind only desolate ruins and the haunting silence of a vanished civilization. Across the Aegean, the Mycenaean civilization met a similar, tragic fate. Their elaborate palace economies, dependent on intensive agriculture and extensive trade, crumbled. Their iconic fortified cities, Mycenae, Tiryns, Pylos, were violently destroyed or abandoned. The advanced linear B script, used for meticulous record-keeping, ceased to be written. Greece plunged into a dark age that would last for centuries, losing its literacy, its centralized power, and its memory of the sophisticated world that came before. The proud Greeks forgot how to build with stone, how to write, and how to forge empires. Even the seemingly indomitable new kingdom of Egypt, sustained by the Nile's annual floods, felt the crushing weight of the drought. Though the Nile itself was more resilient, the wider regional aridity led to widespread famine and refugee crises. This was exacerbated by relentless invasions from the sea peoples, desperate migrants likely displaced by the very same drought that crippled other empires. Egypt barely survived, but its imperial ambitions were shattered, its wealth drained, and its once unquestioned dominance in the region was irrevocably broken. The age of Pharaoh's vast empires was over. The fallout from the mega-drought was total. The vibrant interconnectedness of the Bronze Age was severed. Trade routes vanished, literacy declined, and the memory of these grand civilizations faded into myth. It wasn't merely the collapse of empires, but the implosion of an entire global system. From the ashes of this catastrophic climate event, a new, harsher world emerged. One where smaller, more isolated city-states would slowly begin to rebuild, cautiously navigating a landscape scarred by environmental trauma and the ghosts of forgotten giants. The Iron Age dawned, born from the ruins of a golden era. The story of the Bronze Age collapse stands as a stark, chilling reminder of nature's formidable power. It wasn't conquerors or ideological wars that brought down these giants, but the relentless, silent turning of the climatic wheel. Their fall echoes across millennia, a haunting warning that even the most advanced and powerful civilizations are ultimately fragile, their survival inextricably linked to the delicate balance of their environment. The ghost of that ancient drought serves as a profound lesson for our modern world, urging us to listen to the whispers of our own changing climate before silence falls once more.